located just 19 degrees off the equator, the DR is one of the most diverse countries of the many I've visited or lived in, and it still amazes me to this very day. The varying beauty of its land to the climate. I mean, heck, there's even zones that freeze on this island, and it's amazing. 19 degrees off the equator, and I've personally seen it. You could have areas in the DR that puddles will ice up. We have altitudes ranging here from our lowest point, which is located at Largo and Arquillo, which is actually about 152 feet below sea levels, which would put it about 46 meters below sea level, to the country's highest point called Pico Duarte, and that's a towering 10,220 feet above sea level, or just under 4,000 meters above sea level. Note that Pico Duarte is the highest mountain in the Caribbean. And as I mentioned a moment ago, I've been in the highlands of Jarabacoa and Costanza many times. And in the winter times, I've hit a couple of cold spells there and woke up to frozen puddles and frost-covered windshields. It's really hard to imagine being able to see palm trees growing next to birch bark and Canadian evergreen. They're all living in harmony amid the frost of the winter cold snaps, and my gosh, 19 degrees away from the equator, it's amazing. The rain season for the north coast is mainly from November to January. For the rest of the country, the rain season seems to be from about May to November. Average rainfall across the nation is averaging about 53 inches or 1,346 millimeters. In extremes, on a really rainy year, I've heard it going as much as over 98 inches or 2,500 millimeters. But mostly that's in the mountainous northeast, which we term the windward side of the island. The southwestern valleys, you'll be seeing an average rainfall of around 19.5 inches or around 500 millimeters. The country's western valleys along the Haitian border remain relatively dry with less than 30 inches or 760 millimeters of annual precipitation. This is triggered by what's called the rain shadow effect, caused by the central and northern mountain ranges. The northern, northwestern, and southeastern extremes of the country are also quite arid, so they are receiving substantially less annual rainfall than the north region where we are. We're going to pigeonhole Cabrera's climate at a glance to zoom in a bit more on our region. And temperature average highs in Cabrera, the average highs year-round are about 85.4 degrees or 29.66 degrees centigrade. Warmest months being September, which averages around 87.6 or 30.9 degrees centigrade. I would probably bump that up about 2 degrees just from the years I've been living here, but it's relatively accurate. Temperature average lows, 72 degrees or 22.21 centigrade average per year. January and February are definitely the coolest, averaging around 70 degrees or just slightly over 21 degrees centigrade. Note though, we've seen some cold snaps here in the upper 50s in the morning, but rapidly rising by 10:30 to well in the mid-60s. So just for all you people that like a cool morning, that would be a cold spell for us, and I'd say 57, 58 is about as cold as I've seen. Humidity in Cabrera, on average, we're running about 82% a year. August and September averaging about 84 to 86% range. So you're getting, from the basic facts I'm presenting to you, you're seeing that August and September are the warmest months, and followed closely by July, August. Winter months from November through to March, the averaging humidity is in the low 70% range, 70, 72%. It's absolutely delightful for about 7 months a year. Average rainfall in our area is running about 69 inches or 1,667 millimeters per year. We're going to continue on now and discuss a little bit about the terrain and rivers of the DR. The DR is a country with many, many mountains, and there are 4 basic mountain ranges running across the country. The highest peaks of the West Indies are found here, and a chain of mountains that all of them show a direction northwest through southeast. And that's a very important piece of information. I'm going to expand on that during our section of severe weather, though. But keep in the back of your mind, I'm going to revisit that because it's extremely important for our region. There is an exception, though, in the southern peninsula, actually in Haiti, where they have a direction of west to east. The mountains are separated by several fertile valleys with the same general direction. From north to south, the mountain ranges and valleys, the ones I'm going to cover, note for time purposes, I'm just going to be mentioning a couple of key ranges and probably our most important valley. The Cordillera, in English, the Northern Range, it runs parallel to the north coast with extensions to the northwest. Its highest mountain is Diego de Ocampo, and that's very close to the major city of Santiago. This mountain runs a little over 4,100 feet tall, or 1,250 meters in height. The Sabayo Valley, it's the largest and most important valley of the country. This long valley stretches from North Haiti all the way through to Salmon Bay, so it's basically running clean across the country at its longest point. The eastern part, or Yona, in English Yona is Royal Valley, is the most fertile area in the country, and because of this it does boast the highest population density in the valley regions for farming, exporting, various crops that just grow in abundance there. It's really an amazing drive to go through it. It's just endless, and I encourage everybody who does eventually come here for full or part-time residency, you've got to go and see that part of the country. It's something amazing. The Cordillera Central, also called the Sierra de Ceballo, is the island's most rugged and imposing range in the country. The highest mountains are going to be found in this range. Actually, the highest mountains in the entire Caribbean and West Indies are found in this range. As mentioned earlier, Pico Duarte does run just under 3,100 meters tall, and there are several other mountains in that range that are breaking the 3,000 meter range, so that's putting them over 10,000 feet. Continuing on, I'm going to cover some of the major rivers and lakes in the DR. The 8 longest rivers in the DR are as follows: the Yarque del Norte, the Yuna, the Yarque del Sur, the Osama, but that's a scary name, but it is spelled O-Z-A-M-A. The Camus, the Nisao, San Juan, and the Mayo rivers. Other significant rivers include the Amane River, Rio Hermano del Norte, and Rio Isabela. The Artribonite River is the longest river of the island, but about 70 kilometers or about 30 miles are running in the Dominican Republic. The balance of it is located in Haiti. The largest lake in Hispaniola and of the entire West Indies is Lake Enriquillo. It is located in Olla de Enriquillo, and it is about an area of 265 kilometers, roughly a little over 100 miles. There are 3 small islands located within this lake. It's around 40 meters below sea level, and it is a saline lake with a higher concentration of salt than the actual ocean. Other significant lakes worth mentioning are the Ricon, which is a freshwater lake of around 30 kilometers. The Oviedo, it's a brackish water lake. That's brackish would be a concentration of like a mixture of salt and fresh water, and it's running about the same size. And the Redonda, and of course Lake Limoni. So briefly, there's lakes and rivers scattered all throughout this country. Some of these rivers give some excellent whitewater rafting, by the way, for all you whitewater rafting people. In the northern region, in some of the higher altitudes, we do have whitewater tours, rafting tours that do range, from what I understand, a Category 1, which is very gentle, all the way up through Category 5, which is the most severe and requires the most experience. Rounding off the last topic in our series here, it's going to be talking quite in depth about severe weather and hurricanes. The Dominican Republic is commonly damaged by tropical storms and hurricanes. Most originate in the South Atlantic, off the coast of Africa, and build their strength while traveling through the mid-Atlantic and continuing on to the southeastern Caribbean Sea. The season for hurricanes run from June to November, but in all probability, the main months of concern would be August through the end of October. This does run on a yearly basis, so it does repeat and recycle every year. Let's discuss our region that surrounds Cabrera and runs past Rio San Juan. As I did mention to you earlier, we're blessed to have a mountain range running from the northwest to the southeast. Now, why is this important to us? It's very significant because it allows Mother Nature to bless us with a near-perfect natural shield. While we have suffered a few times in the past, if you look into this part of the country, you'll find we've been, for the most part, spared or blessed, if you will. The major damage always seems to involve Haiti, the capital, the southeast and southwest regions. The middle of the north coast seems to be about as safe as it's going to get. If you follow the paths of most hurricanes, you'll soon find out that they originate in the South Pacific. Taking this a step further, look at the actual positioning of the island of Hispaniola. You'll see for a hurricane traveling on a traditional path, in order to directly hit our region, would have to pass over all of the nation's mountain ranges. So what happens and why is this important to us? Well, when a hurricane travels over mountain ranges, what it does is it drastically weakens hurricanes. It disorganizes their flow. We do, however, get a lot of rain, which can be a good thing, and since we're located amongst the cliffs and the mountain ranges themselves, flooding in these sections is not a real problem. I can't, however, say the same for the towns of Cabrera and Rio San Juan, as they're located below the ranges and will receive a good probability of flooding, since water is always going to seek the lowest level. With the locals and expats living here, I can honestly say that I don't know anyone that even has hurricane shutters on their home. Now that's got to say a lot, because there are many part-time residents here that are here for the winter months solely, and they're completely off island for the summer. I would say about half of the expats are part-time residents for winter months to escape the cold climates where they're from. A completely different contrast when you compare Cabrera to other places like Florida and the Carolinas, which are just about every home you're going to see equipped with hurricane shutters. A hurricane, in order to actually make a direct hit to Cabrera or Rio San Juan, would have to actually pass the island and go out to sea and then make a complete U-turn and head back. Now, is that impossible? No, but it is highly unlikely. But all in all, if I had to sum it up, hurricanes for this region should not be anywhere close to a deciding factor. Just check the history of it. And if I had to sum up Cabrera's weather in the region of Rio San Juan, Cabrera on through to Nagua, I'd have to basically put it and dovetail it into its spring and summer, 12 months a year. Once again, any questions, be glad to answer them for you, okay? This is Barry, and I'm out for now, and we'll continue on soon.